Hey everyone, Arashi here, back in with another upload, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about why exactly the Jedi of the past were so much more powerful than the Clone Wars era Jedi. Well, we're going to be talking about what exactly happened and who the Grand Master was behind all this. So back during the beginning of the Jedi-Sith Wars, they had completely got overwhelmed and destroyed by the Sith. I mean, they gave up a good fight, but they had lost the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. And the remaining Jedi had to scatter, find a new temple, and completely train all over again. They were caught off guard by the Sith strategies and the Sith fighting. They were ferocious. They beat every single last one of them pretty single-handedly, and although they gave up a good fight, it was not close. The Jedi had to completely rearrange the exact way that they learned how to fight. They had to fight with more combative styles, using forms like Jichem and Ataru. And every single last Jedi was built for war. They were built to fight. And the Jedi nowadays in the Clone Wars were completely blindsided by the Clone Wars itself. They didn't necessarily know how to fight. They weren't tacticians. They weren't smart when it came to battle. But due to the circumstances of what the Sith did to the Jedi back in the day, they had to become combative. They had to do this in order to become powerful enough to defeat the Sith. Every single last Jedi, even from a young age, had to grow up learning how to fight. If they didn't, they would die. During this time too, the Sith were many. This was long before the rule of two even became a thing. So every single day, these Jedi essentially had a chance to show off their skills against an actual true live opponent that was attempting to kill them. By the time the end of the war came around, there was nothing but Jedi in the temple that knew nothing but combat and war. This led to some of these Jedi becoming some of the most powerful and most combative Jedi that have ever walked in the Order. And some of the most skilled duelists. Some of the most skilled duelists that would even put Dooku to shame. Due to this war and all this combative training, the Jedi completely lost sight of who they actually were. The Jedi were all about peace, and they had completely lost that. So during the construction of their second home temple, it was constructed in a way to remind them about peace and tranquility, something that the Jedi stand on. And the Jedi Council at the time constructed it in just this way so that they can remember exactly what the Jedi were meant to be. Hoping to never have to go through something like this again, hoping that the Jedi would actually remember everything that they're supposed to be and what they're trained to be. But this all doesn't necessarily explain why the Jedi during this time were so much more powerful. And we're actually going to talk about the planet Tython itself. The planet Tython was actually very much home to the light side of the Force. Here, similar to Mustafar and other planets like Dathomir, the Force was all over the place, but for the light side, the Force was just generating, oozing from the very veins and every root that was on the planet. And this is partly why the Jedi chose Tython as their home planet for their next Jedi temple. But Jedi Master Satele Shan is the reason why the Jedi made such leaps and bounds in their Force training themselves. When she became the Grand Master of the Jedi, her rule was essentially go crazy as long as you stay in the light side of the Force. So while on Tython, the Jedi made leaps and bounds in their strength and power because Satele's training was just essentially go learn about the Force. She wanted the Force to be the main thing that the Jedi learned about, and to trust the Force and to have way more patience along with the Force. And as long as they remained in the light, the Jedi went absolutely nuts when it came to this. They were discovering so many new powers, so many new things that they could learn and just harness through the Force. And this is why Tython was such a perfect planet for the Jedi during the time, because the planet itself was oozing with the Force. They were able to deep dive and just keep pushing and calling upon the Force in order to amplify their own abilities and to learn new ones. Jedi were able to use abilities such as Force Freeze, and they would be able to hurl tons of rocks without a single drain of their power. They were so powerful during this time. And each one of them were able to gain a deeper understanding and knowledge of their saber forms, making them formidable duelists and fighters. Now, of course, with Satele Shan's plan, a lot of Jedi actually end up falling victim to turning to the dark side of the Force. Although she forbade against it, it still caused a lot of the Jedi to switch to the dark side of the Force. But during this time, the powerful Jedi in themselves would easily defeat any Jedi that decided to turn to the dark side. I mean, it wasn't even close. So when the next war began against the Sith, the Jedi were completely unstoppable, and they brought Malgus to complete and total justice. The Jedi had fallen into a completely new category that they had never seen before. Whenever there was an uprising or anything like that, the Jedi would swiftly take them out. And this was done under the tutelage of Satele Shan. Satele Shan had them completely go and just learn whatever they can through the Force and become as powerful as they possibly could. And basically had the Jedi become something that they had never been before, complete and total protectors of peace and restorers of peace. And these Jedi were so powerful that no Jedi or Sith that decided to defect and turn to the dark side of the Force, or Sith that decided to have an uprising, would be able to stand a chance. And they did this all while very much remaining in the light. Although they were taking lives and completely destroying Sith, it didn't really matter because they stayed within the light side of the Force, and this was part of their peace and protection. This and many other reasons are exactly why the Jedi were so much more powerful during the time of Satele Shan than they were against the Clone Wars era. The Clone Wars era were too worried about the Republic, too distracted by what's going on in the galaxy itself, and they would become completely self-righteous. So much so that a Sith like Palpatine was able to mask his appearance and hide within the walls of the Jedi itself. The Jedi during the Clone Wars were ruled by fear. They were completely scared of the knowledge of the Force itself. So much so that they even forbade certain teachings. Jedi couldn't learn all the knowledge of the Force that they could during the time in the Clone Wars era. The Jedi of the past were able to learn whatever they wanted, and they were led by the Force and only the Force. Well, anyway, that's all I got for this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Do you guys like the old Jedi more? I personally love them more. May the Force be with you guys, and as always, have a great rest of your day.